Greetings, everyone. It is I, Sleepy Reader, aka Damien, trying a little different way of shooting, just for today anyway. Welcome to my very messy office. I've been sorting through comics yet again, creating a new mess rather than getting rid of the old mess, it seems. This isn't even supposed to be my comic book room anymore. It's just supposed to be a guest room and an office, but not the comic book room. But I still, unfortunately, scatter comics all over it as I try to someday get myself organized. But I'm here to do my comic book countdown. I've got 9 comics from this past Wednesday, and it was kind of a so-so week. I enjoyed most of them, but I don't think there was the real knockout. Now that I think in terms of the comic book countdown, I tend to think of top 3 or top 4, and everything felt a little bit more in the middle. I mean, some were better contenders than others, and I, of course, managed to rank them in terms of my pleasure. A little weird thing I found at shopping at Trader Joe's the other day was something I never saw before. This is Lagunitas, which is one of my favorite IPA makers. It's called Lagunitas Hoppy Refresher. 0 alcohol, 0 calories. So it's just hop flavored water. I don't even know if it's bubbly or not, so I'm going to try it for the first time on camera. It doesn't really sound that good to me. And part of why it caught my attention was I had seen Chris of Chaos and Comics drinking a non-alcoholic beer substitute and saying it tasted good, and saying, I guess I like malted hops or whatever, however it is he put at it. But I don't think this is at all the same, because I'm sure that had some calories. So anyway, this may be awful, but I thought I'd try it. I like the cap. There. If I don't like it, it came in a container of 4 bottles, so. It's not bad. It is lightly fizzy, and it just has a little bit of a kick to it. I mean, if I didn't know it was hops, I might think it was ginger or something. The smell of it reminds me just slightly of an IPA, but it doesn't, of course, have any alcohol smell. So, I didn't look at what the price of it was, but if it's not too expensive, it might become another hot day refresher. I realized recently, or I've always known this about myself, that I'm a big fluids drinking person, and I guess my daughter is too. And I'm surprised sometimes when we'll have a friend over, her age, and I'll offer them both something to drink, and sometimes the friend won't even want anything to drink. I'm so used to kids always wanting something to drink. I always want some fluids to drink. So anyway, neither here nor there. I have all these buttons here, which my daughter got. We were doing some room organization as part of our COVID lifestyle in her bedroom, and we found a bag full of stuff that she got for free when she took Randy Emberlin's comic book. Are I recording? Yeah. That never happened. Hasn't happened to me in ages, where QuickTime on my computer would cut out while I'm recording. So anyway, interesting that they gave her. She had even more of these buttons. She saved some, and I decided to save some. Not sure what to do with them. But anyway, so I'm going to tilt this down even more. Well, that's about as far as it goes. And I'll show you my comic book that came in this week at number 9 was the Fantastic Four. And it's this miniseries written by Mark Waid, art by Neil Adams. I have a feeling the writing was kind of by Neil Adams too, and maybe they brought in Mark Waid to try to control Neil Adams a little bit, because it was one of those wacky Neil Adams plots. The emotional tone, though not earned, is over the top. And Some of the art is really great, and some looks really weird, including the way Neil Adams draws the Thing. I think he views the Thing's body as like a plastic suit rather than a bunch of moving rocks or something like that. I'm not sure, but his Thing can look quite weird in some of these pages. The story, there wasn't much of a story. There was kind of a fight with the Annihilus just to start the comic, and then some goofing around of Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm, which just looked kind of weird as drawn by Neil Adams. And then something is coming to crash into Earth, and they're trying to stop it. And it turns out to be the Silver Surfer, who's all... Is he blackened? Not like Silver Surfer black, but something's horrible's happened, and I guess I shouldn't give away the final shocking revelation on the last page. But anyway, it was okay. It was quite silly. And other than the weird thing, and just, you can see, look at Reed Richards' face there. Everything is just super over the top with Neil Adams. And I think it always was, and now it's just even more that way. And it has that Mort Drucker parody look to it that Neil Adams has sort of added on to his style in recent years. But there's the Thing. Look at that face. Yeah. So anyway, it was kind of amusing. I'd hoped, because Mark Waid was the writer, that something better might be going on. I'd love to see Neil Adams and Kurt Busiek team up. I originally, for some reason, had the impression Busiek was writing this. So, and then in at number 8 was issue 2 of Engine Ward. I gave it a pretty bad review last time I read it. Still got a cool cover. Still has, even though the same artist on the inside is kind of slim on detail and impact. It's okay. The colorist is quite good. I feel like the colorist is the best of the creators on here. But there was stuff in the last few pages that got me kind of intrigued, and started maybe putting a few things together. Like, I finally realized that someplace they called Oert is Earth. So they're trying to uncover mysteries about the planet that humanity originally came from, in the mining the areas where spaceships long ago crashed. Now, who the Celestials are, these people who seem to have, who are each based on a different zodiac sign, like Aquarius and Leo and whatnot. Who they are and what their story is, I'm not clear yet. I'm guessing they were some of the crash survivors who hogged the best technology to themselves and set themselves up as kind of godlike characters, which is a plot from Lord of the Light from Roger Zelazny, originally. At least that's where I first saw a plot like that. So that kind of intrigued me, and so I think I'll try the 3rd issue. It's on my pull list, so it's easier than canceling it. In at number 7 is Rogue Planet, which just continues with feeling like it's very, very good art and color, but plot-wise just feeling like yet another Aliens takeoff, or Alien takeoff. It's intriguing that there's hints that everything that happens to you on this planet is based on your fears and on your nightmares, which is something we've seen in other things. What was there's that movie, it wasn't called Black Hole. What was it called? Anyway, it was a deep space, outer space movie where people's fears came alive from something like a black hole. But, so it has a feeling of a lot of sort of classic sci-fi horror. But I don't know if it connects the dots well enough, and if this is all based on people's fears and nightmares, then they didn't give us enough sense of who these people were and what their fears and nightmares are like beforehand, perhaps. Anyway, I still enjoyed it. I mean, I'm certainly happy to keep going on the ride with that. I also enjoyed, but I was way hyped up for Batman 3 Jokers. Originally, I was not going to get it because I've had enough Joker in my life. There's currently another Joker plot that's been going on for quite a while in the regular Batman thing. And there was plenty of Joker in the past, in my comic book reading in the past 8 or 9 years, since I kind of came back to reading DC Comics a lot. I'm just pretty thoroughly tired of the Joker. But then I heard Jason Fabok on a podcast talking about this as being kind of the work of a lifetime. Like, this is the comic he's putting his heart and soul into. And he talked a lot about the grids and how intense this is, and every issue is like really like an issue that's twice as long. And I did enjoy the art a lot. It's maybe he's it's almost too perfect. It lacks the I don't know. It sometimes seems to be a little static, but not really. I think he is trying to make this his, Watchmen in terms of the art of Dave Gibbons, kind of his thing. I think he also talked on the podcast about how this colorist was the very perfect colorist for him. But I feel like at times the colorist kind of obscures what's going on. It actually looks better on my screen, but like this picture, it's hard to see all that's going on in the fight, because the colors are actually on the page very dark. Oh, that's funny. It looks much better on the screen. So maybe Fabok only looked at it on the screen, the digital colors. So I did enjoy the art, but I thought the Joker aspect of the story and the Batman family, kind of, at least parts of the Batman family, Batgirl and the Red Hood, getting together with Bruce Wayne, Batman, to work on this mystery of the 3 Jokers. It's not much of a mystery of them. They figure out pretty quickly there's 3 Jokers. So the whole thing, I don't know, it's not exciting me. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good, solid Batman story. But at least as someone who's read a lot of Batman and the Joker stories, it didn't have any special zing or excitement to me. My favorite character here, though, was Jason Todd, Red Hood. I thought he was very interestingly portrayed. Nothing surprising in his character or anything, but a very solid, nice representation of that character. With Jeff Johns, I know so many people have loved comics by him, and I have not read those comics that his reputation is based on. I am much more familiar with his work in the New 52 and in a few other little spots here and there, but I haven't read a lot of his key work. So I don't know whether this is subpar work for him or not, or if he's just not the writer for me. This back cover was quite cool. I saw some people got actual cards with Batman and Joker. I didn't see anything of that nature at my shop. So I ranked that at number 6. At number 5 was the finale of Plunge. This probably would have been even higher, but it had the sense of kind of a standard horror movie of this sort's ending. I love the journey of Plunge, and it got really good in the last few issues. And I was a little cold on the art at first, but I really came to really dig the art by Stuart Immonen and coloring by Dave Stewart. I mean, the coloring was always good, but it just seemed to get better and better, both those things. And the plot was pretty intense, and the characters, but it just was sort of an okay ending to me, I have to say. And maybe it felt a little rushed, which maybe that's natural for a horror story. You have to have your climax right at the end, and then you have to have your little throwaway, oh, the evil's not gone, and then the end of the story kind of thing. There's a really cool page. Excellent colors. So at the end of the day, Plunge is definitely worth reading if you're in the mood for kind of a horror novel type of, or horror story type of thing. I could easily see this turned into a movie, but as a movie, it would even more perhaps, depending on how it would have to be a matter of style, because plot-wise, it's very familiar. Except maybe for there's a little more of that Lovecraftian cosmic stuff lurking at the edges, never made too explicit. Although we do see the cosmic grotesque monster, which I thought was really well done. Anyway, so that gave it a little bit of a different feel than yet another comic based on Alien. In at number 4 is Billionaire Island. And it was a solid issue. Again, kind of, there isn't a whole lot new to be done here in the jokes that they've already set up. But there was a nice kind of flashback about the architect of the island, which I enjoyed quite a bit. And mixed in with the humor is plenty of sort of grim tragedy and odd, quirky, humorous pathos. I hope I didn't give away too much showing that. I don't think so. Anyway, so it was a solid issue. I think I'm enjoying Billionaire Island, but it's not going to replace the Flintstones by Mark Russell, by writer Mark Russell. The other weird thing is this cover shows someone who doesn't look as much like Kid Rock as the president did in the previous issue, and the president does not appear in this issue. So were the covers timed wrong? I'm not sure who that. It looks like someone very specific. To me, it kind of looks like I think his name is Robin Zander from Cheap Trick, but that's probably not who they intended it to look like. It was very clear that it was an aging Kid Rock as president, I thought, in the previous issue of Billionaire Island. In at number 3 is Family Tree. This story is emotionally very intense. It's got art from someone who I think now is one of my favorite sort of modern comic book artists, Phil Hester. I wish there was more by him. I think he may always work with this colorist, Ryan Crody, or I think that's who the colorist is. But the color is it's a perfect art and color, and it goes incredibly well with this bizarre sort of family horror story / I don't even know what you'd call it. Some kind of messianic humans turning into trees kind of story. The complaint with Family Tree is each issue, it's very decompressed. So it's definitely written for the trade, and each issue feels very slight. And in fact, this week I once, a long time ago, maybe once or twice, did videos where I timed how long it took me to read comics, old comics, new comics. And I started to do that this week. I timed reading some of the comics. This comic took me the least amount of time to read. It took 6 minutes. It's a very fast read. Very fast read. And it's not like there's any extra materials that then you can read, notes from Jeff Lemire or something. Unlike Billionaire Island, which actually took me a lot of time to read, I didn't read I read the short story in here. Sorry to go back to Billionaire Island. You can't see the type at all. But this is reviews of a few supposed classic science fiction novels by real people, but that don't actually exist. 2 by Philip K. Dick and 1 by Edgar Rice Burroughs. The Barstool of Jupiter by Edgar Rice Burroughs, Philip K. Dick, The Bloodshot Red Eye, and Philip K. Dick, Hubris, Inc. And they're kind of negative reviews about those these imaginary. I'm not quite sure what the point was, but it did amuse me. I have not yet read Guitars and Ray Guns. The text pieces, the short stories basically that they published in the backs of these are almost always worth reading. And then they had a recipe there too, Pickle's Pantry, and I thought maybe there was some satire going on, mini pumpkin crumble cakes for the end of the world, but it seems to just be a serious recipe for some kind of muffins. And then there was a lot of good stuff in just their column about this issue. So anyway, my point was, the reason I jumped back is Billionaire Island took me quite a long time to read, not just because there was a lot to chew on in the story, but because there was some interesting backup features. So in at number 2 was Justice League Dark, and I didn't get to read it on time, so I didn't cover any issue 24 or many previous issues of Justice League Dark because I got behind on it. But this issue is a big improvement over issue 24, and it's kind of back to the level I expect from Justice League Dark, which is definitely one of my most favorite current DC comics. Is it on the chopping block? I have a feeling it is with the new regime there. But Ram V, despite me being a little skeptical about that name for a writer, is doing a great job, and he's now seeming to be teamed up with this artist whose name I cannot say, M&K Nehulpan. Perhaps they're both from India. I believe Ram V is from India, or maybe he's from India, or from England via India. We're still going on with the same basic enemy, this upside down man, but it's done real cool, and I'm very wrapped up in the concept of Zatanna trying to rescue her father from this version of hell that he certainly does not deserve to be in. So great to see Wonder Woman and Zatanna team up, and they're in the other world, and some really fun stuff with the Man-Bat and Swamp Thing. So just another very satisfying story. I don't know if you could jump in at this point or not. It's one of those ones where I can't say whether it would work jumping in or not. In some senses, you get the most out of this if you read all 25 issues of Justice League Dark. But in the other sense, it's kind of an ongoing plot that keeps being remolded, like the same material keeps getting remolded into a slightly different story. So you could probably pick up an issue or two before this and have a good time. Maybe even this issue. I'm not sure. But I enjoyed it a lot. It gave me a big kick, so it was number 2. And at number 1, also giving me a big kick, although the cover got water damaged when I put it down on a table that I did not know had some water on it. Love these. It's Kaiju Max, Season 5, number 4. So I think there's 2 more issues to go. It's always 6 issues per season. This season has been a little less focused for me, but this issue, so it hasn't been sort of my top comic all the time, but this issue really, things started to come together, and I feel like by issue 6, this is going to make. Okay, QuickTime, Apple, you're killing me. That's the second time this has dropped out. This never happens. This goes against, Sleepy Reader does not edit together footage when he doesn't have to. This was supposed to be a one and done quick thing, and then I just posted online. But I guess I will have to take time to figure out how to stitch these 3 together. I'm much better at stitching together video on my iPad than on my computer here. The iMovie is much easier to use on the iPad. Anyway, I don't have a lot new to say about Kaiju Max. This was a good issue of it. I like the dark satire and the imagination. I feel like it's a little harder of a comic to read than it used to be. I still highly recommend the first 2 seasons, and then if you like those, the rest are worth reading, but don't quite have the same zing to them. And you could probably pick up any season. Although either of those first 2 seasons I think would be a little easier to pick up. And then I guess, what was it, season 4 that took place on the women's island, the female Kaiju island. It's interesting to think because there is a romance. Is it shown in this issue or was it a previous issue? Between 2 Kaiju, like a big kissing scene. To realize they're 2 male monsters kissing. Oh, there's some more. I think they're doing the Watusi there. The naughty bits are not really showing of the kaiju. Anyway, if really bizarre comics that play with pop culture are to your taste, and a really dark sense of humor and way out sci-fi kind of concepts, then Kaiju Max is a great series to explore. So that's it for me. I'm happily drinking my hop water. Just seems bizarre, but it works. So I'll be back soon. Thanks a lot for watching.